All right, what's good? What's up? Welcome in. You're watching the 49ers Report live here on Chat Sports. I'm Chase Senior. No matter where you're watching or how you're watching, thank you so much for making the 49ers Report a part of your day. We're live on YouTube. We're live on Rumble. After our show broadcasts live on both of those video platforms, we're going to be going live on Colin for a live interactive podcast where I have the opportunity, the grand luxury, to take all of your calls and chop it up with the faithful. We'll start the official show off in about 10 minutes, but first, it's your duty to get the comment section flowing, and this is a great opportunity for you and I to really interact in the comment section as well. We are emanating live from the Chat Sports studios in Dallas, Texas. My question for you, where are you tuned in from? Shout out your city. Let me know where you're watching from. And as always, we appreciate you for supporting the 49ers Report. David Delgado, yo, my guy, what's up? My guy, what it do? What's up, Chase from Jonathan Prim? Nothing much, just doing this live show with producer Marshall. 49ers for life from Johnny Royal. Draco tuned in from Vegas. Ecuador is in the house from Quinn Price. Long Beach, California from Raphael. Troy, Ohio, also here. Delaware from Samuel. Nebraska from Mamba. Faithfully from Andre. Tuning in from Uvalde, Texas. Sorry to hear about everything that happened down there in Uvalde. How's it going, Chase? From George, watching from Atlanta, from Jonathan, California, Corona, from David Corona. Love that nickname right there. Eater, tuned in from Seattle. D-Boy rocking and rolling with us from Toledo. Laredo, Texas. My name is Jose. What it do, Jose? New Jersey from the Dallas and Dad Show. Dallas, baby, from God is Watching Too. You and me, both in Dallas right now. The Niner Gang, the faithful, spanned all across the globe as we have an American audience and an international audience as well. That's the beauty of Chat Sports. Going into 2022, a lot of really intriguing players on this roster, but I want to ask you this question. Which 49ers player are you most excited about this year? For me, it's Trey Lance. And speaking of Trey, check out our poll question right now. 108 votes so far. Do you believe in Trey Lance? 93% yes, 7% no. For me, my answer is Trey. Who is the player you're looking most forward to watching this year? The Dallas and Dad Show, Lance, Trey and Drake from Samuel. Broken Arrow, Oklahoma is in the house. Okay. Isn't Tyler Jones from Broken Arrow, Oklahoma? We just hired him a couple weeks ago. Good. Trey Lance from Johnny. Ward from What Noodle 187. George Garcia, Trey Lance. Trey all day from Andre. Jason, he's on the Trey Lance wagon as well. Danny Gray from Katie Boy. I like Danny Gray. Draco Pimpin. Defense LMAO. That defense, a lot of people aren't going to be laughing about it. I actually happen to really like that answer because I think the 49ers defense could be one of the best in the National Football League this upcoming year. We're going to be going live on Call-In right after our YouTube and Rumble show wraps up. We'll be live for about 45 minutes to an hour on our video platform. Then we're going to hop over to our audio platform and go live on Call-In around 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 o'clock Pacific. Now, right now, we are getting our asses kicked with subscribers by Chicago Bears Now, the only two shows under the Chat Sports umbrella that do live podcasts on Call. And you take a look at the sub numbers right now, 224 to 81. Now, Terrell Owens rocked 81. I like that number. I just don't like getting dominated by my boy Harrison Graham. We've both been doing live podcasts each and every week, and moving forward, we're going to continue to do that where I have the opportunity to take your calls like a sports talk radio talk show, and think of it like Twitter Spaces, but even better. Now, speaking of those subscribers, we got work to do. Chatsports.com/49ers call-in. Make sure you plug in that link, or you can download the link right now with the links that's being thrown in the chat by producer Coop on either your iPhone device or your Android. You see those links in the chat right now. Download the call-in app, make a profile so that you can call into the show, and we got to catch up to Chicago Bears Now to show the call-in peeps that the faithful is going to show out. If you're pumped up for today's show, I want you to hit that thumbs up icon and like the video. There is so much for us to get to on what is going to be a juicy edition of a live 49ers report. We're talking news, we're talking rumors, we're talking trade targets. We're going to do a mailbag as well, but it's a different mailbag than what we usually do. Here's what we have coming your way. The national media continues to hate on Trey Lance. I am going to debunk all of the false narratives that are out there from guys like Emmanuel Acho and the guy who I look up to in Colin Cowherd. Not a big Trey Lance guy, which is really, really unfortunate. We'll look at some post-June 1 trade targets for the San Francisco 49ers and do a trade ideas mailbag. All that coming your way on the 49ers Report. Then after our visual show is over, we'll be going live on call-in. No loop there, Marsh. 149 people watching live, 35 likes. Can we get the 50, 60 likes before we officially start today's show? Let's do that right now. Show me that you're ready to rock and roll right here on the 49ers Report by hitting that thumbs up icon and liking the video. I will not start the show officially until we get 50 likes. We have 11 more to do. Zapped 916, I see in the chat. Broderick Holdman, what it do? Why Big Jordan saying Golden? You talking about the Golden State Warriors? We'll be doing watch parties on Warriors today starting on Thursday. Game 1 of the NBA Finals tipping off between the Warriors and the Celtics. We got the 54 likes. We shouldn't stop there. Continue to hit that thumbs up icon and like the video. A super chat coming in as well. We'll get to that a little bit later, but for now, we're diving into the latest 49ers news and rumors. All right, here we go. You're watching the 49ers Report by Chat Sports. I'm Chase Senior. Hope all of you are having a fantastic start to your week. We're diving into the latest 49ers news and rumors on today's show. But today's 49ers Report presented by a new sponsor here at Chat Sports and on the Niners Report, Aura, all-in-one digital safety security. You don't want to be that person who gets your identity stolen. That has happened to millions of people over the last couple of years. Don't be the next one. You can start your free trial today by going to aura.com/chatsports. It's a 14-day free trial that can cover up to 5 family members. We'll tell you more about Aura coming up here in just a few moments. Here's what we're chopping it up with on today's episode. More Trey Lance slander from the national media from Emmanuel Acho as well as Colin Cowherd as the national media continues to reach for these ridiculous Trey Lance narratives. We'll dive into that and I'll debunk all of these false sayings coming from the national media. Is Jimmy Garoppolo going to stay? According to Sports Illustrated, it looks as though he is in fact going to remain with the Niners. I don't think that's going to happen. And Ray McLoud, could he be the secret weapon for Kyle Shanahan here in 2022? I'll answer that question and take a look at some really fascinating special teams numbers that I think Ray McCloud is going to be able to influence the 49ers with that special teams unit. We start off with Emmanuel Acho. So he said this the other day about Trey Lance, and in my opinion, somewhat disrespectful with what he said about Trey area. He just ain't it. He just don't got it. There's a reason they call him one play Trey, and there's a reason he only started one game last year. He's just not like that. The Niners chose to play Jimmy Garoppolo with a broken thumb over their first-round top 3 pick in Trey Lance. The only reason you don't start is if with these takes, brother, I don't mind you on television, but when you say ridiculous things like this, I got to go on the 49ers Report, and I got to debunk all of your false theories. So if you believe in Trey Lance, I want to hear from you, and I want to see the faithful show some support for the future face of the franchise. If you believe in Lance, like the video. If you don't believe in Trey Lance, I want you to comment why you don't believe in him. From Emmanuel Acho to Colin Cowherd, Cowherd saying, and he is a former fan of Lance, who is no longer a supporter of him as the quarterback for the San Francisco 49ers, he's unsure about Trey Lance because of everything that's been said from the coaches to the players. But the thing is, I'm about to prove Colin Cowherd wrong as well because everybody on the roster, on the coaching staff, is heaping praise upon Trey Lance. So Cowherd on his The Herd radio show said this: at some point, I feel like I'm being sold something here, and this is just my gut because I know the kid and I like him, but my gut is that the Niners don't demand a ton from the quarterback. They don't. It's a very run-centric offense, and it's very, very smartly schemed up. My gut feeling is I've never thought he has a pretty delivery system. I think it's pretty clunky. He struggled with accuracy, and Kyle Shanahan is an impatient guy, and they gave up a lot of picks. And you've got to make certain throws at about a 95% clip, or Kyle is not going to trust you. And my hunch here is that he's not accurate enough. He didn't play a lot in college. He played for a dominant run offense, and they've got concerns, and they just don't want to say it. Can you just play him? Can you give me some tape? Like, why am I not seeing tape? I want to see him play. Why are you keeping Garoppolo? I'm just very suspicious when you keep selling me something. Now, here's the thing about Trey Lance. You see some of the video coming out from OTAs. He has messed around with his mechanics. He's cleaned up his mechanics. He has a tighter delivery system right now, and it's a lot less clunky than it was last year, which is what Colin Cowherd referred to. But this is where we're getting at with Trey Lance right now. We're getting to the point where people in the national media are getting desperate, reaching for takes and clicks. First, it was Matt Lombardo saying that the coaching staff doesn't have trust in Trey Lance. It was Chris Sims saying that the 49ers don't want to play him, and that's why Jimmy Garoppolo is still on the roster. A former offensive lineman for the Denver Broncos said a couple weeks ago that the 49ers are concerned about Trey Lance's arm fitness. That's a term that I've never heard before when evaluating a quarterback. Instead of listening to people who have no idea about Trey Lance's skill set, his work ethic, guys who never actually watch Trey Lance play or watch him practice, let's instead focus on what those who are actually around Trey Lance and see him every day are actually saying about him, because everybody is really excited about what he can bring to the table for this 49ers offense in 2022. You go back a couple months ago to what Trent Williams, who's been able to practice with Trey, had to say about him. You see him run the ball, you see him throw the ball, and you know that's a generational talent. Very complimentary from the best left tackle in the National Football League. How about what George Kittle had to say about Trey Lance recently? And keep in mind, he's best friends with Jimmy Garoppolo. He reminds me the most of Josh Allen. He's got a cannon for an arm. I think he has one of the highest ceilings that I've ever seen before. Dre Greenlaw on the opposite side of the ball practiced a lot against Trey Lance last year, and Trey Lance wowed him. He has the best arm talent I've ever seen, hands down. By all accounts, Lance, up to this point throughout OTAs, has impressed his coaching staff, and he's impressed some of the players on this roster. Pro Football Focus with a report last week that last Thursday, Trey Lance had the best practice that he's ever had as a San Francisco 49er. So once again, let's circle back to the national narrative. Guys who never actually see Trey Lance play, they are getting desperate with some of their takes right now. Instead, I'm focusing on what those in the building are actually saying about Lance and my evaluation of this quarterback prospect. He's 6'4", 225. He has a bazooka and a cannon for an arm. He can complete every single throw on the football field. And I think this 49ers offense in 2022 is going to be more dangerous, more explosive, less predictable, and they're going to push the football downfield more because of Trey Lance's dynamic arm strength, and that's not even accounting for the fact that his mobility is going to add another element to this offense as well. Next up on the show, is Jimmy Garoppolo staying with the 49ers? And Ray McLoud, is he going to be San Francisco's secret weapon here in 2022? All of that is coming up right around the corner. But first, I want to tell you about today's presenting sponsor, Aura. They do a really great job of providing protection for everybody out there who runs into problems like online security, getting your identity taken, online fraud. Aura offers all of these benefits: financial fraud protection, identity theft protection, online device security, because we know that everything lives online nowadays with all of our credit cards and all that stuff. And these family plans from Aura protects up to 5 people. You can start your free trial today by going to aura.com/chatsports. You do more online than ever. Aura does everything and more to keep you and your family safe. A 14-day free trial if you go to aura.com/chatsports. That link is in the comment section and the description of this video. Before we get to Jimmy Garoppolo, I want to hear from all of you in the comment section right now. I want want you to get creative with some of your takes down below. Predict Trey Lance's 2022 touchdown to interception ratio in the comment section right now. And I think that he's going to impress a lot of people. Combined, I think he can throw and run for more than 30 touchdowns. It's really the interceptions that are going to be fascinating to me, because he could throw anywhere between 10 and 20 interceptions, and that won't surprise me at all. Ray McClain, by Bleacher Report, named the 49ers' most exciting offseason addition. That's coming up here in just a few moments. But first, let me hit on this from Connor Orr of Sports Illustrated. He did say in his bold predictions for this upcoming season that he thinks that Jimmy Garoppolo is going to stay on this roster. Just wanted to pass along that report from Connor Orr. I do not believe that Garoppolo is going to be on this team in 2022. To Ray McLeod now, named the 49ers' most exciting offseason addition, which is funny in a way because it goes to show you the boring nature of this 49ers offseason. But Ray McLeod could have a profound impact on this roster this upcoming season for a variety of reasons. According to Football Outsiders, the 49ers special teams unit, the least efficient punt return unit and kick return unit last year in the NFL. They were also 13th, about middle in the pack, in punt return average at 8.2 yards per punt return. And they had the 5th lowest kick return average at less than 19 yards. That ain't going to cut it. Now, the signing of Ray McLeod fell under the radar for a lot of people because it's not like he puts up splashy numbers as a wide receiver, but as a return man the last couple of years, statistically, he has been one of the best punt returners in the NFL. He actually led the league in punt return yards last year, and the 49ers special teams unit a year ago was straight up dormant. You look at the return numbers, 38 punt returns last year for the Pittsburgh Steelers, average yards per punt return at nearly 10. So that puts the offense in a position to put points on the board and gives them favorable field position. 35 kick returns as well for an offense in Pittsburgh that was pretty stagnant. So that's pretty telling. Average yards per kick return of 22.2. Now, if you get a touchback that's 25 yards automatically, if you're actually bringing the ball out and you're picking up about 22 yards, that's pretty damn good for Ray McLeod, because oftentimes he's getting that ball at between the 5 and 2 yard line. Otherwise, he's just going to kneel it in the end zone. Receiving stats, and this is where things get interesting for Ray McLeod. 66 grabs a year ago, or 66 targets, 39 catches, 277 yards, and an average yards per catch of 7.1. Those by no means are enormous receiving numbers. But in this offense, I'm excited to see what Ray McLeod is going to be able to do. And when we talk about this special teams unit specifically, I think Ray McLeod is going to be able to rejuvenate a stale and stagnant special teams unit from a year ago. And I'm really excited to see how Kyle Shanahan uses Ray McLeod as a gadget guy in this offense. He is not a bona fide true wide receiver who you want lining up outside, and you don't want to rely on him to make big plays in the passing game. But what Ray McLeod can bring to the table, he can be that gadget guy in this offense in addition to Danny Gray, a more prototypical wide receiver. But for McLeod, jet sweeps, reverses, bubble screens, find creative ways to get him the football, and he's shown throughout the return game that he can get creative with the ball in his hands, make guys miss, and he has that speed to take it to the house. And keep in mind that he was playing for a bad Pittsburgh Steelers offense last year that lacked a lot of creativity, that had a washed Ben Roethlisberger as their starting quarterback, and I think Ray McLeod is going to be able to elevate his game in this offense with better surrounding and complementary pieces, with a better coach and a better quarterback in Trey Lance as compared to Big Ben, who was clearly at the end of the road last year. Ray McLeod, the 49ers' potential secret weapon coming up in 2022. Where will the 49ers special teams unit rank this year? Scale it for me, 1 to 32. 32 teams in the NFL. Where will the 49ers special teams unit rank in the NFL from 1 to 32? Let me know in the comments section. Also have to give a shout out to my boy Victor Alfaro for the $5 super thanks earlier this week from Sunday's show. You can give us a super thanks if you're watching us after our live show and give us a donation here on the 49ers Report by hitting that heart icon with the $ through it. This is a new feature from YouTube. You can donate outside of live videos. Inside live videos, you can just send us a super chat. Outside of live videos, it is called Super Thanks. You see the icon right there to my right. We appreciate all of your support, and any super thanks that we do get here on the 49ers Report, that's good for a shout out because we appreciate all of the support right here on the channel. Okay, where will the 49ers special teams unit rank in 2022? Let me know in the comment section. Daniel's in the chat, 10. EMA Beats, 14. David Delgado, 11 to 15th. God is watching 2, coming in with 5th. Kyle Cooper, 15th. BK from the Bay, 12th. Willa, 27th. That would not be good at all. Continue to get those votes in. Also, another reminder, after our show on YouTube and Rumble wraps up, going to be doing another live podcast on Call-In tonight, right after the show is over, around 6 o'clock Eastern, 3 o'clock Pacific. Make sure you subscribe and call into the show. What is the Call-In app? Live interactive podcasting app that reminds a lot of people of Twitter Spaces, but in my opinion, it's even better. Chatsports.com/49ers call-in. That'll take you to the promised land, and when you're there, make sure you subscribe to everything that we do. Daniel, thanks for the entertainment while I have COVID. Speedy recovery for you, my guy. Hope you're feeling a little bit better. I was feeling under the weather back a couple weeks ago. I got a vitamin IV drip. That allowed me to bounce back. Over the course of a couple of days, I was able to make it to my boy's bachelor party, which was clutch. Taking a sip of water here, and then coming up next on the show, 49ers post-June 1 trade targets. That's what we're talking about next right here on the show. 8 likes away, though, from 100. Hit that thumbs up icon, like the video. Let's get to the century mark, and with that, let's get into these 49ers post-June 1 trade targets right now. This is the 49ers Report by Chat Sports. I'm your host, as always, Chase Sr. Thank you so much for making today's show a part of your day and supporting the channel. Coming your way on the show, 49ers post-June 1 trade targets. Some really intriguing names who San Francisco could elect to target. But first, a lot of news that we have to get to on the 49ers roster side of things after June 1. And we start with Dee Ford. So San Francisco, according to multiple reports, expected to part ways and cut Dee Ford post-June 1. And there's a lot of financial implications with letting him go. So by releasing Dee Ford, the 49ers will save around $1 million in 2021, which really isn't all that much, but nearly $3 million in 2023. He will cost the 49ers about $6 million in dead money this upcoming year, as well as the season after in 2023, and a little less than $1 million from 2024 to 2026. Obviously, Dee Ford and that trade and the contract that San Francisco had given him didn't really work out because he was off injured after that 2019 season, got off to a roaring start for him, but it's time to move on from Dee Ford, and that is going to happen post-June 1. Something else to keep an eye out for. It's a Jimmy Garoppolo trade. Jimmy Garoppolo could also be a post-June 1 trade chip going into this year, has a cap hit of about $27 million. And we've talked about this so much right here on the 49ers Report. You trade him away, and it frees up so much money to give Deebo Samuel a contract extension, as well as Nick Bosa, and try to round out the peripheries of this roster and just open up some cap space. Right now, San Francisco has the second least cap space in the National Football League. By trading away Jimmy Garoppolo, they vault all the way up to number 1 or 2. That's how much money they're going to save post-June 1 trade of Jimmy Garoppolo. Do not rule that out. Before we get to their trade targets for San Francisco, I want to hear from you in the comment section right now as I field all of your responses. Name a player that you think the 49ers should trade for down below. Let me know in the comment section right now. 49ers post-June 1 trade targets. We start off with Robbie Anderson, wide receiver for the Carolina Panthers. Now, if you ask me about the 49ers receiving core, I think they're in a pretty good position as of right now, but an injury could change everything. And Robbie Anderson can change games with his ability to get up and down vertically very, very quickly. We're talking about a player who can run about a 4.3 40-yard dash, and he's been able to display that for a long time in the NFL with the New York Jets and the Carolina Panthers. You take a gander at what he's been able to do the last 2 years, and keep in mind, he's a pretty affordable player for what he brings to an offense. 136 targets in 2020, 95 receptions, more than 1,000 receiving yards, 3 touchdowns, and 11.5 yards per catch. Last year, the targets went down, the receptions went down because the Panthers' quarterback situation was not ideal at all, as Sam Darnold simply did not work out before Carolina pivoted to Cam Newton, and because of that, the numbers suffered a little bit. Robbie Anderson has shown that with even mediocre quarterback play, he can be a very solid player. I had an opportunity to scout him and watch him when I went to Temple University, where he made a name for himself, latched on with the New York Jets as an undrafted free agent, and has done a masterful job of carving out a role for himself in the NFL. I think he's more like the 2020 player as compared to the 2021 player. A fascinating trade target if an injury were to happen within this 49ers receiving corps. We stay at wide receiver because I want to talk about Jalen Reagor. I've said in the past, it stuns me, it befuddles me why the Philadelphia Eagles don't use Jalen Reagor as a mini-sized Deebo Samuel. He has that physical component to his game and the athleticism to make an impact as a wide back and as a wide receiver. Unfortunately, though, I don't think he's been used to the best of his abilities, and I think he has suffered from a lack of confidence playing in the pressure cooker of Philly. Career stats over 2 years as a former first-round pick, not ideal at all. And he hasn't had an opportunity to really impact the games running the football. Through the air, only 64 catches, 695 yards, 3 touchdowns. I think there's a better player within Jalen Reagor, but because of that lack of confidence, he's dropped a lot of passes in some really big moments, and he has failed to reach the lofty expectations of being a first-round pick, and it didn't help him or the Eagles that they took him over Justin Jefferson in the draft back a couple years ago. Brandon Ayuk, a much better player and a much better decision by San Francisco in that same draft class. I think the 49ers receiving corps could be one of the most well-rounded and one of the deeper receiving corps in the NFL. I'm not going to go as far as to say they're going to be one of the best, but I think this receiving corps gives Trey Lance and Kyle Shanahan and this offense a bunch of different types of players, and I like the diversity to this receiving corps. And I think San Francisco going into this year, as of right now, without any injuries, are in a really good position. I also want to see more from Jawan Jennings. I think he can be that security blanket for Trey Lance, that slot receiver who gives them size, who can continue to ball out on some of the money downs, and I'd rather see Jawan Jennings play and continue to develop than go after one of these trade targets. But if an injury were to happen, that's where things get dicey within this offense. Now, I'm high on this 49ers receiving corps. What do you think about this receiving group, though? I want to hear from you in the comment section once more. A, B, C, D, or F, how would you grade what the 49ers boost at that receiver spot? We stay on the offensive side of the football now with Andre Dillard, another former first-round pick, also with the Philadelphia Eagles, who is a popular trade chip out there. Now, the Eagles are pretty set at both tackle spots. At left tackle, Jordan Mailata, he just got paid, and Lane Johnson, also one of the highest paid tackles in the game. So because of that, Andre Dillard is on the outside looking in of that tackle rotation. But when he's gotten on the field, especially last year, because his first couple of years, it looked as though he was heading in the direction of being a bona fide bust, he's actually played some pretty good football. Now, he primarily plays left tackle. He has played some right tackle in the past. If the 49ers were to trade for him, he would be the future Mike McGlinchey replacement, or maybe even his replacement as soon as this year if McGlinchey is not able to come back off that torn quad. Dillard in 2021, because there were some injuries along that offensive line for Philly, he played 340 snaps, so the sample size was pretty large there. Had 7 penalties, something that you got to work on just a little bit, but here are the big numbers here. 1 sack allowed in 340 snaps. 1 hit allowed. Total pressure is 20, but I think that number actually looks worse than it actually is. I want to hone in on the sacks allowed number and the hits allowed number, a combined 2 pretty good numbers for Andre Dillard, and I don't think he's in the future plans for the Eagles, and I do think that he can live up to those expectations of being that former first-round pick. Once he goes elsewhere, out of Philadelphia, I think he will be a very good value player as a starting tackle in this league. Are you concerned about the 49ers offensive line right now? Because the only sure thing that we know of as of right now is Trent Williams holding it down at that left tackle spot. Other than that, Colton McKivitz, Jake Brendel, Aaron Banks, Jalen Moore, those are the types of inexperienced and unproven players that might be protecting Trey Lance. Give me a Y for yes or an N for no. Moving forward right here on the 49ers Report, of course, we're going to continue to push out videos every single day on YouTube as well as Rumble, but we have entered the podcasting fray on Colin. It's a live interactive podcasting app where I have an opportunity to take your calls like a sports talk radio show. Now, I know the faithful always shows out, as evidenced by our nearly 60,000 subscribers right here on the channel. That's why you got to subscribe. But with Colin subscribers, we are getting our asses kicked by Chicago Bears now. You see the numbers to my right. I don't stand for this. I don't accept it, and you shouldn't either, because faithful to the Bay has to show up and be more faithful on Colin. We want to show the folks at Colin that the gang always shows out. 224 subscribers for Bears now as compared to 81 for the 49ers Report. This is the 49ers Week 1 opponent. We want to beat them on the football field. We're already beating them with YouTube subscribers. Let's pick our game up a little bit on the Colin side of things. Chatsports.com/49ersCallin. Download the app on your iPhone or your Android. That link is available in the comment section in the description. Make a profile so that you can call in and join the show. Last 49ers trade target to get to post June 1. Jessie Bates, safety for the Cincinnati Bengals. When he's right, when he's playing well, when he's engaged, he is a very good safety. But unfortunately, his game has waned just a bit over time. Now, last year in the playoffs for Cincinnati, en route to that Super Bowl appearance against the Los Angeles Rams, still makes me sick that the Lambs won that. 20 tackles, 6 pass breakups, and 2 interceptions. He was great. He was awesome. He looked like one of the best safeties in the NFL, and he's proven to be that caliber of player throughout his career. First 4 years of his career, he's been excellent. Going back to 2018, he is a tackle machine that doesn't often miss tackles. He's also very physical, not afraid to put his hat on the football. 2018, 111 tackles, 7 pass breakups, and 3 interceptions. 2019, he once again reached the century mark in terms of tackles, more pass breakups, same amount of interceptions. But then 2020, probably the best year of his career. 109 tackles that year, 15 pass breakups for a safety. Is a tops all safeties in the NFL, and 3 interceptions. And last year, his game dipped a little bit. Now, I'm not sure if that's because of the lack of a contract extension, but in 2021, in the playoffs, he was excellent. During the regular season, he wasn't all that good. He is a little bit expensive. 2022 cap hit of about $13 million. But let's remember, you let go of D Ford. You trade away Jimmy Garoppolo. You restructure some contracts on this team like an Eric Armstead. You extend Jimmy Ward. That frees up a lot of money to maybe make a play for Jessie Bates, who could be the future safety. But it looks as though Talanoa Hufanga might be that guy alongside Jimmy Ward as well. Speaking of Hufanga, you want him, you want Jessie Bates. And are you confident in the man with the amazing Troy Polamalu hair? Give me a C for confident, W for worried. Let me know what you think about Talanoa Hufanga. Some 49ers players now who could get traded post June 1. Jimmy Garoppolo, as we talked about. Trey Sermon, if Ty Davis-Price beats him out in a training camp battle, because another team out there is going to look at the skill set for Trey Sermon and say, you know what, he didn't get ample opportunities with San Francisco. Let's take a swing in this guy. He certainly has some talent. And then a sneaky name here, Jordan Willis, and I can even add Samson Ebukam to the equation as well. Those are players who could get traded on top of some of these 49ers trade targets. Before we hop on out of here for this segment, we're pushing out 49ers videos every single day. Little more than 500 people away from 60,000 subscribers. We are the largest and biggest 49ers news and rumors channel on YouTube. So support us, join the faithful if you want top-tier 49ers coverage by hitting that red subscribe button right now. Okay, we'll give you some shout-outs here. Stanley, watching from Hawaii. B, Mike Davis. C, Orchids. W, Mally Mall. C, Adrian Salinas. Y, John saying Trey Sermon over Ty Davis-Price. That's going to be a really good training camp battle. There's no doubt about that. Coming up right around the corner, we're going to be doing a 49ers trade rumors mailbag. Pretty fascinating. So on our community tab on our YouTube page, I had asked for you to cook up some trade ideas. We're going to relay and talk about all of your trade ideas that you did submit. That's coming up next here on the show. 200 people watching live, 114 likes. Continue to hit that thumbs up icon and like the video. Also, after our YouTube and Rumble show wraps up, we're going to be going live on Callin for another live podcast. Make sure you join us, chatsports.com/49ers Callin. And also, you can download the app on your iPhone or Android devices. That link is going to be put in the comment section and the description of this video. Going live on Callin right after our YouTube show wraps up. So you'll see on the script, Marsh, I have the trade ideas in there. And if we need to get to time, then we can take a super chat which came in or any questions that do come in. Yeah. If you guys have any questions, so obviously – just subbed on the call-in from Daniel. Thank you, my man. Join us after the show. I know Draco's probably going to join us as well. If you have a trade idea right now or you have a question about the 49ers, make sure you use the hashtag 49ers. We're going to get to some of the trade ideas from the audience members and our loyal subscribers, but on the back end of that, after we talk about those trade ideas, we can get to some more trade ideas. I can't guarantee you that we're going to get to all of them, but if you super chat us, I guarantee you we'll answer those super chats. That's coming up here momentarily. You good to go, Marsh? All right, let's dive into this trade rumors mailbag right now on the 49ers Report by Chat Sports. Coming your way on today's 49ers Report, we're going to do a 49ers trade rumors mailbag on the community tab on our YouTube page. I asked for you to submit your best trade ideas for the San Francisco 49ers. We're going to go over all of them. I'm going to offer my thoughts on them as well and take some of your questions. But first, this is why you subscribe to the channel. No other 49ers YouTube channel involves the audience better than we do here at Chat Sports. We cover all things 49ers every single day, pushing out videos on a daily basis, covering the latest news, rumors, and breaking news. So make sure you hit that red subscribe button as we close in on 60,000 subscribers. We start off this trade rumors mailbag with this trade idea coming in from Eric Danes. And a lot of these trades do revolve around Jimmy Garoppolo. No surprise there. So I happen to like this trade from a realistic standpoint from Eric. Good work by you. Maybe you're a future general manager in the National Football League. With this trade between the Niners and the Carolina Panthers, San Francisco receives a 4th-round pick from Carolina, and the Panthers get Jimmy Garoppolo. Now, before the shoulder surgery, I would have said that Garoppolo is worth more. And I did say and predicted before the shoulder surgery, that's the key component of this conversation, that I thought Garoppolo could have fetched a 2nd-round pick. Sam Darnold got a 1st-round pick. Carson Wentz got some really good draft capital for the Philadelphia Eagles, what turned out to be a 1st-round pick. And then when he was traded from Indianapolis to Washington, he was able to fetch some really good draft capital as well. And I'd say that Jimmy Garoppolo is a better quarterback than Sam Darnold, as well as Carson Wentz. But the shoulder surgery has changed things to a certain degree. So too has all of the quarterback movement that's taken place in the NFL throughout this offseason. So at this point, you're a little bit desperate, right, to move on from Garoppolo. He has that cap hit this upcoming year of $26.9 million. If you can get a 4th-round pick next year from Carolina, that's pretty good value. Eric had said a 2022 4th-round pick, obviously a 2023 4th-round pick. But either way, that's pretty good value at this point for Garoppolo, considering the quarterback movement, the injury that has taken place, and the fact there's not really a market for Garoppolo right now. So is a 4th-round pick enough for Garoppolo? I want to hear from you in the comment section right now. Faithful, show up, show out, and let me know. E for enough, M for you want more. You play GM. I'll put you in the shoes of John Lynch. Another trade idea to get to from Bronson O'Neill. It's another trade between San Francisco and Carolina. This one is of the juicy degree. The 49ers receive Brian Burns, a really good edge rusher, as well as J.C. Horn, 1st-round cornerback out of South Carolina, who before he got hurt last year was playing really good football as the Panthers' #1 cornerback. In exchange for those two players, the Panthers receive Jimmy Garoppolo as well as Deebo Samuel. Now, I would not make this trade because I want to see what Trey Lance can do with Deebo Samuel. And I think that heads have cooled just a little bit on the Deebo Samuel trade request front. I think him and the organization are going to find a way to work out these contract misfortunes, and they're going to pay Deebo what he wants between $25 million and $30 million per year. So I don't think a trade like this is going to happen now. Back a couple months ago would have been an intriguing trade because of how good Brian Burns is and the upside of J.C. Horn. Brian Burns is a young player. At Florida State, he really flashed on tape, and that is translated to the NFL level. Last year, 50 tackles, 9 sacks, 13 tackles for loss, 2 forced fumbles, and 0 fumble recoveries. But playing on the other side of Nick Bosa, Brian Burns and Nick Bosa, those are 2 players that you cannot afford to push double teams to. So you'd get a lot of single one-on-one matchups for both Burns as well as Nick Bosa, and I think both of them on the field together, on the same roster, could tally double-digit sack seasons and be one of the best edge-rushing combos in the NFL. As for J.C. Horn, suffered a foot injury early in his rookie year, but when he was on the field, when he was playing, he was living up to the expectations of being that first-round pick out of South Carolina, and he was playing as good a football as a guy like Patrick Surtain, who had a great year for the Denver Broncos coming out of Alabama. 5 tackles, 1 pick, 1 pass breakup for J.C. Horn last year. Again, I would not make this trade, but a couple months ago, if Deebo said to the 49ers front office, I am not coming back, I guarantee you that, I will sit out this year, you have to trade me, this would be one of the better trade packages out there because you'd free up the money from Garoppolo and get really good value back from Deebo, basically 2 first-round pick level talents in Brian Burns as well as J.C. Horn. Our question of the day, who would win this trade? Is it Carolina, type CAR? Is it the 49ers, type SF, embrace debate? And I already know there's going to be a lot of arguing in the comment section. Here on the 49ers Report, we continue to grow to the platforms that we use. That includes YouTube, Rumble, and also Callin. A lot of you have been able to join our weekly live podcast on Callin. Think of it like Twitter Spaces, but it's even better, where we have an opportunity to talk to one another, and I can take all of your calls on the show. Live podcast once a week moving forward, where you get to spit your hottest 49ers takes or ask me any question that you want. The shows have been a success so far. But in terms of subscribers, we're getting our asses kicked by the 49ers Week 1 opponent in the Chicago Bears. 224 subscribers for Bears now as compared to just 81 for the 49ers Report. We need more. So if you go to chatsports.com/49erscallin, download the app on your iPhone or your Android device, make a profile so that you can call into the show. Most importantly, though, make sure you subscribe. We got to get to 100 subscribers at the very least as soon as possible. Another mailbag trade comment coming in from Cyrus. Trade Jimmy G for a 5th or 4th round pick to whatever team at this point is willing to take him and release D Ford because, man, he is just going to collect dust and no production for the 49ers at this point. The 49ers post June 1, they're going to release D Ford. It's going to happen at some point, and it's not going to save them a bunch of money. You look at the financial figures here. By releasing Ford, the 49ers save about $1 million in 2022 and a little less than $3 million in 2023. Unfortunately, though, it's going to cost San Francisco nearly $6 million in dead money this year and next year, and then almost $1 million from 2024 to 2026. It's the right move to move on from him. He is off injured. I'm not sure he's ever going to play football again coming off those neck and back injuries. It's unfortunate what happened to him, because he was one of the NFL's best pass rushers, but hasn't been able to stay healthy. You got to cut your bait and move on from what has been a injury distraction up to this point. As for Jimmy G, I think you can get a little bit more than a 5th round pick. If you get a 5th and a 4th, Cyrus, I think that's pretty solid value for some of the reasons that I talked about a little bit earlier, right? Before the shoulder surgery, I think Garoppolo could have fetched you a 2nd, maybe a 3rd round pick, but then teams were like, okay, we're talking about a quarterback, and we're evaluating a quarterback here who never had elite arm strength. He's been injured a lot throughout his NFL career, and now he's injured again to his throwing shoulder. Is he going to be able to throw? What's the arm strength going to be like after the shoulder surgery? for a guy who we want to be our starting quarterback potentially. He's not going to partake in any offseason activities and can't throw until July. A lot of red flags there. Predict it for me now, faithful. The Niner gang, the Niner Empire. Will Garoppolo be on the roster in 2022? Type SF for the 49ers. Type O for other. And also, make sure you give me a follow on Twitter and Instagram at Chase_Senior. If I didn't answer any of your questions on today's mailbag, you can slide in my DMs. The best opportunity for you to get in touch with me, just give me a shout and a mention on Twitter. It's an actual tweet, or you can just hit me up on Instagram as well. It's the same handle on both social media platforms at Chase_Senior. Do have a $2 super chat that we want to get to from Katie Boy. Keep a pushing, Chase. Appreciate you, brother. Honestly, man, hosting the 49ers Report, it's been life-changing for me. It has been the best professional endeavor that I've had in my career. Been an absolute blast since I took over right around the NFL draft last year. And when I took over for Thomas Mott, I did a great job of growing the 49ers Report. We had about 33,000 subscribers. Now we're about to get to 60,000 subs in a little more than a year. Big reason for that, all of you for supporting everything that we do, including you, Katie Boy. Evan Hinders with this. 49ers should trade a second-round pick and Ayuk to Tampa Bay for Mike Evans. I think you meant Ayuk there. Mike Evans ain't going anywhere, and Tom Brady is not going to allow him to go anywhere. Mike Evans, one of the best wide receivers in the game, as a big-bodied threat who is a jump ball threat, but also has elite speed. He is such a dangerous weapon for Tampa Bay. Even Ayuk, who I'm high on, and a second-round pick is not enough for Mike Evans. Daniel, will Ayuk get over 1,000 yards in 2022? I think he will. That is one of my bold predictions for the Niners this upcoming year. I think Ayuk's going to break out. He has not been able to break out because he's played with Jimmy Garoppolo, who has a pretty mediocre arm. And then in his rookie year, he played with Garoppolo, C.J. Beathard, as well as Nick Mullins. None of those quarterbacks have the athleticism, the arm strength, the arm ability of Trey Lance. And they don't throw the deep ball like Trey Lance does. So because of that, I think Ayuk is going to run a lot of vertical routes. Kyle Shanahan is going to use him as a guy who can take the top off of the defense, and he can be that explosive pass catcher in this offense that they really haven't had over the last couple of years. Yes, Daniel, appreciate the question. I do think Ayuk will get over 1,000 yards in 2022. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. We do mailbags every week. We go live every single week. We cover the latest news. We cover the latest rumors, breaking news as well, better than anybody else out there. Subscribe to the channel by hitting that red subscribe button right now. Okay, in just a few moments, we are going to be going live on Call-In, and we're going to stay live here on YouTube for a little while as we go live on Call-In, because I'm going to give shout-outs to everybody who joins us on Call-In. And then on the Call-In side of things, Pro Football Focus is showing some serious love to some really elite players on this 49ers roster. We're going to get into what exactly Pro Football Focus said, in addition to taking all of your calls. So get ahead of the game, chatsports.com/49ers Call-In. We're going to be going live here in just a few moments on the Call-In app right after our YouTube and Rumble show is over. We'll be live here on YouTube for a little while for the start of our Call-In show, and then we'll go live exclusively on Call-In. So make sure you download the app. That link is getting peppered into the comment section right now. Download it on your iPhone or your Android device. That way you'll be able to join us live on the 49ers Report for a live podcast where I'll be taking all of your calls. Now, we did go live a little bit earlier on YouTube as well as Rumble. Usually we were going live 7 o'clock Eastern, 4 o'clock Pacific on Tuesdays, but because we put Call-In into the fray, going to be going live moving forward a little bit early, around 5 o'clock Eastern, 2 o'clock Pacific every single Tuesday. So make sure you just bookmark that. Easy way for you to know when we do go live. Just turn on your notifications by hitting that bell icon. Therefore, anytime we do go live, you will be notified. So bad TV here, but going on Call-In, so I got to put on these headphones here so that I'm able to push some audio out on Call-In. We'll be going live here in just a few moments on the Call-In app. I'll start the room, but in the meantime, make sure you download the app, chatsports.com/49ers Call-In. I want to hear from all of you as I'll have an opportunity to take all of your calls. This should work. Yeah. Okay. Going to start the Call-In room here. And I'm going to give shout-outs to all of you who decide to join us over there. Just give me a few moments here. We don't take commercial breaks here on the channel. So, we're doing it live. The 49ers Report is officially live on Colin. We'll be live on YouTube as well as Rumble for a little while here. For those of you who come over to the Colin side of things, going to give all of you shout-outs. Already a couple of people are coming into the show. If you want more 49ers content, if you want a live podcast where I take all of your calls, make sure you join us on Colin right now. I'm seeing Brian, Draco, Evan, Owen, Joe, all in the call-in room right now. On the show today, we're going to be looking at what Pro Football Focus had to say about some of the elite players on the San Francisco 49ers roster. We'll get to what exactly they said, then I'll start taking some of your calls. But we're going to let some more people filter into our call-in room. We did say that we were going live around 6 o'clock Eastern, 3 o'clock Pacific. So going to buy some time as we get closer to that time slot. More people coming in. Kareem. We have 2 other people who haven't made profiles. It's really smart for all of you to make profiles. Therefore, I'm able to give you shout-outs, and you can also call into the show just so I can identify who I'm talking to. And while you're all here, make sure you subscribe because we're getting our asses kicked by Chicago Bears now, and we got to pick up some more subscribers. We have 81 right now, and I love Terrell Owens. He's an all-time great 49er. But we got to pick up some more subscribers. You look at the numbers right here. Chicago Bears now, led by the fearless leader, my boy Harrison Graham, 224 subscribers. So right now, it's Chicago showing up and showing out. And San Francisco, we have some work to do. Chatsports.com/49ers Colin. For those of you watching us live right now on YouTube as well as Rumble, our call-in room has started. And people are starting to hop into the caller queue. I'll probably start answering your calls about 10 minutes in to the official start of our call-in show. You'll know when we officially start it off. Shout out to Brian, Draco, Kareem, Owen, Joe. I see Evan is waiting in the caller queue right now. If you remain there, my guy, you'll be first up once I do start taking calls. Also, hit that thumbs up icon and like the video. I just did, and it's kind of cool when you hit that thumbs up icon because it floats up the screen here on Colin. You can also get the comment section flowing as well. For those of you listening on the call-in side of things, who do you think is the best player on the San Francisco 49ers? Give me some names in the comment section. I'll start giving you some shout-outs on the call-in side of things. I see a couple of people are still commenting on YouTube as well as Rumble. Rah, what's up, Chase? DVL, Stanley, Evan Hinders, all in the chat right now. Is this the year Justin Smith is eligible for the Hall of Fame? He is a Hall of Fame player. There's no doubt about that. DVL, you're saying, but it says 59,500 subscribers. That is on YouTube. We're talking about call-in here. You see that link at the bottom of your screen. We're live on YouTube right now, but we're about to shut off the stream. Then we're going live exclusively on call-in for an after-hours podcast where you have an opportunity to literally call into the show, and we can talk all things Niners. Brian, Draco, Kareem, Owen, Joe, Oleg, as well as Evan, all in the call-in room. Mox with the comment saying Nick Bosa is the best player on the 49ers. Bird Dog, George Kittle is the best. All really good options. Big Bad Joe 64, Chase is the best in sports media. I do appreciate that. All right, Marsh, we're going to shut off YouTube here, and then we're just going to go live exclusively on call-in. I'm going to take the headset off, and then we'll reset to do the actual start of the call-in cut. For all of you who tuned in today on YouTube as well as Rumble, thank you so much. If you want free daily content covering the San Francisco 49ers, subscribe to our YouTube channel by hitting that red subscribe button down below. And again, moving forward, we'll be going live 5 o'clock Eastern, 2 o'clock Pacific now on YouTube as well as Rumble so that we can do our call-in after-hours show.